Okay, in this video we're going to add the bracing on the top chord. That starts kind of down here in the front and back of the bridge where the car goes through. We'll have one shape for this section here, and then we'll have a different shape, kind of a cross bracing on this top part here. This is going to be done with In Context Part Studios, which I'll show you how to do. And these are set up in the assembly. So remember, K shows our mate connectors. You can toggle with the letter K. That'll show and hide them. We're going to need them throughout this video. And J shows the mates. We won't show those just yet, but we'll be adding mates later. That's the fasten mates that'll put everything together. So we'll start with mate connectors. So let's show them with, mate connectors with K. And let's start doing. We start with an In Context Part Studio. If you don't find that, just search for Context, and there it is. Create Part Studio in Context. The top brace is a little more complicated. We'll actually draw the same features that you'll do in the side, the front and back brace. We're going to pick a mate connector. I like to look at the front and pick, be consistent. So maybe pick lower left for all of these. So when we draw this front one, we'll do this one. When we draw this one here, we'll pick this one right here. So that's going to be the mate connector, and that's halfway through our notch. Click the check mark. Now it's going to create a new Part Studio. Let's rename this right away so we can find it later. We'll call it Top Chord. We'll call it number 1. You might have different shapes, so it's nice to give them numbers. So our origin, right now our origin makes kind of sense, but eventually we're going to move it. So we're going to hide our origin and the planes. We'll be making our own planes later. So first thing we need to do is make a sketch. Remember, we started with this lower left corner, so when we make our sketch, we're going to continue with that. We can pick a mate connector. That's what we want to do for these sketches. So it connects back to our assembly, and we're going to pick that one right there. And notice it says mate connector. If you got anything else in there, then you want to start, you want to get rid of it and add the mate connector. So we've got this to start drawing on. Now, when we do the mate connectors, when we do the connections back to the assembly, we want to use the use command. We want to use the assembly so everything changes with it. If we change anything in the future, it changes right with us. So we are going to use the use command, and we're just going to use these 4 mate connectors that we already have. So that's going to create a point. You can see the point got created right there. We'll go over here. We'll use this mate connector, and we'll make sure you get the right ones. This is the one we're on, so it's this one, and this last one right here. Okay, so we've got our 4 mate connectors. They're all lit up, and we can now begin to sketch. If we hit the N key, we've got our sketch plane. Remember, we're starting down this lower left. So first thing we want to do is draw a rectangle. We're going to use undo the use command. Just draw a rectangle using those points. We're going to use an aligned rectangle. The reason we're going to use the aligned rectangle is it gives you the most constraints in case somehow we lose our context. Our bracing will stay together pretty well. So we're going to do a line rectangle. We're going to grab that point, and then this point here. And notice it's constrained. Don't add any dimensions, because if you add a dimension, then it's fixed. We want that to change with the assembly if we change the assembly. So right now we have these reference points. So we can now continue to draw this. And actually, this should have been construction lines. So let me actually redo that. Control Z. I want to do a construction rectangle. So construction line rectangle. There's that one, that one, that one. Okay, hit escape. We don't need dimensions. Okay, So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start with a couple of other construction lines. We need some midpoints here. So Q, L, we need a midpoint construction line here. You'll find the midpoint by hovering. Remember, there's the midpoint. Click, hit escape. And let's do one more. Q, L, we're going to go midpoint here. There's midpoint. I'm just hovering until it switches to midpoint. Okay, and the last thing I want to do is probably put a, we want to put a point or make these two coincident. So this one and this one, let's add a coincident. Oh boy, that didn't like that. We want a point in the middle there. We'll get one there eventually. So right now this is good enough to start. So let's start in our lower left corner. Just hit the N key, and we're going to start drawing a little bit more of this this notch and create our first half. So let's go ahead. We're going to draw 1/4 of our bracing and then work our way across. So the first part we'll draw is a center point rectangle. You can click anywhere on here. And actually I forgot one thing. We need one of our notches. We need the full notch. So the way we're going to do that is use that center point rectangle and put it right on this corner. Okay, so the way that's going to work is we do need some dimensions here. We want this one to be, you can just hit equal sign. This is notch. So notch width, and enter. And then the other one is equal sign wood thickness. That's how thick our wood is. So that should fit right inside of there. Okay. Now we're ready to do another center point rectangle. This time we're going to do it kind of over here, and we're going to align it with this right here. So, and hit escape. And we're going to do one more alignment. We're going to take this and drag it out. Actually drag out one of these points and make it coincident with there. Now we should have this nice centered rectangle. Let's dimension that. We'll dimension it. You can adjust this. We'll give it about 5 millimeters for now. That should be good. And we've got our beginning. Okay, so for the front and back and actually other kinds of bracing, we probably want to have a parallel line or another line going here that's over here a ways. So let us go ahead and we can just do a let's see, let's just do another construction line. QL gives me a construction line, and we'll just go and go straight down to somewhere on here. We'll make that parallel to this, parallel. Okay, now it should just move around here. Just so we have a dimension on there, let's dimension it back to this point right here. So we have a dimension. So let's go to this point. That's kind of our starting point. Let's make it, how about 8 millimeters? And then let's make another one, another line. This is where we might need a point here. We want to put a line that goes, a construction line, QL, that goes diagonally. Here we go. We can use a midpoint. Midpoint to, don't connect it to that point. You want it to be able to move on here. So let's put it about right here. Okay, that's going to be our diagonal for our cross brace. And let's give it a dimension. This was the 8 here. Let's give this one a dimension as well. And dimension that back to here again. And let's make that one, how about 15? And we can pull these dimensions out too, since they're kind of in there a little bit. And there we go. Okay, so we've got our reference points for our mate connectors. Remember, those mate connectors are coming from the assembly, so this whole sketch is linked. This what it means. It's linked to the assembly on those mate connectors, which is really handy. So anything changes in the assembly, they're going to change here. Okay, so now I think we have a square here. We got here. We're ready to. We've got one more thing we need to do. Pretty sure we. I think we're good. I think we're good with just that. Okay, we'll come back here if we need it. Let's finish that sketch. Okay, next thing. Okay, remember we got rid of our origin and our top, front, right planes, so we need to make some of our own planes. So we're going to add a plane. So click on plane, and we'll click that. So we want to choose point normal. That's what I had before. Sorry, point normal. If you had plane point, it's point normal. So point, we'll pick that center point of the sketch, and then the normal point, we're going to pick this line. You can see we've got plane 1. If you look, you can see that is oriented in the ZY. So we're going to call that the YZ plane. So we're going to rename that the YZ plane. YZ plane. Okay, and then we want to make a XZ plane too. So we're going to do plane again. And we're going to pick point normal and pick that center point again. This time we'll pick this line. Oops, it's not that one. We want to pick this one. And that gives us the normal to that line, which is the other plane. This is our XZ plane, so we're going to rename that XZ plane. And there we go. Got our 2 planes. We're going to need that when we do some mirroring of the 2 across our construction lines, which are making our planes. So we can see this is now in the notch there. We're ready to start drawing part of our brace. The next thing we're going to do is actually put in the node creator. That's going to go in on these points to make our tabs to hold the straws. So let's bring in node creator. That should be here. So I made a couple updates. So you'll see a blue circle on there. If you see that blue circle, you'll want to update that. We can do that in a second. First thing we want to do is pick our points. So the first point is going to be, we'll do this cross or diagonal brace first. We don't want to make a node here, so we'll make a couple changes. We're going to get rid of the straw hole, and we're going to use a node diameter that's the same as the straw outer diameter, because that doesn't count as a node. So we're going to type straw outer diameter. There we go. And then we'll pick the member locations right here. So one thing that we will want here is, because we don't want the straws to run right into our braces, we want to add what's called a shoulder, straw shoulder, and we need to make it a little longer so it sticks out there. So we're gonna, I take node diameter, which is standard, and divide it. We're going to divide it by 1.5 to make it just long enough. That's going to work for our center as well. And we'll just click off of that. There we go. That's what that does, and that you'll see how that's handy in a minute. Okay, and we can go back up here. We can add another node or vertex. We're going to have to do the same thing. We want to get rid of the straw hole. We want to make the node diameter the same as the straw outer diameter. And then we want to, I believe, if we click on the straw member locations, there we go. So so one thing you are allowed to do is you are allowed to if you are within the 6 centimeter, I think, whatever spec is for solid bracing, you could use solid bracing here and connect these two. But I'm going to assume we're not. I haven't measured, but you will want to put reinforcements there. An easy way to do that in the Part Studio like this is to do a extruded end. So we'll just extrude this end, and we can extrude it up to face, and we'll pick this face right there. And now we want to add that to, not to all, but to this part. So it's asking for merge scope, add it to this part. And now this is extended so that it works better in compression. Okay, so that unfortunately hit our sketch one. Bring sketch one back so we can see it. So just click the eyeball on sketch one. We do have an update for Node Creator. I would do that real quick. If you right click down here, update link document, that's the best way to update everything on your Part Studio. You can also right click here and do update link. I usually do it down here to make sure it updates all instances. Yep, I updated it. And you might have to update the variable studios when this happens. If things break, I sometimes use variables that you'll want to update as well. So I already did that. So it's all update. Okay, we are going to we'll make this bracing, but we'll do that after we do the X brace. It's going to be a lot easier, and we can add it here, but we aren't going to mirror it. So we're going to finish this one off first. Let's add these parts here, this extruded part here. So we're going to add another extruded section. We're going to pick this one here, and we got to go inside of the notch and get this little square, because that's the tab. And there you go. We want that to be symmetric, and we want that to be, it's going to be wood thickness, just like that. And that we want to add that to, we're going to add that to the existing part, which is part 1. It already found it, that Node Creator piece. So there we go. It's all one piece now. And this little bump here we can trim off with the split command. Split. So we can split the part with this face right here. And then we don't want to keep both sides, but we need to flip it and keep the other side. And look, it just lops it right off. So you can keep tools checked. Okay, so we have one more thing to do. The thing about Node Creators, you have to make all your straws before you can do any mirroring. And we're going to mirror this to the right, so we need a straw over here. And so we can do that just by adding a straw, a frame tool, which makes straws. So we're going to go to frame tool, and we're going to pick that straw profile, current document, and we're going to go down here to straw profile. Okay, and now we want to pick here. We don't need to use the sketch line. We can just use the points, and that'll do it. So long as we use a separate frame tool, we can use these vertexes instead of sketch lines like we had to do in the Part Studio. And close that up. Okay, we are ready to mirror, and we're going to use these planes. That's why we built the plane, so we can do some mirroring. I'm just going to find my mirror command. Mirror. That was hiding under here. There you go. And we want to mirror all these items. This one, and this one. We want to do a part mirror, and our mirror plane is this plane. You can click it right here, and look what it did. We have a mirror plane mirrored across the XZ plane, and now you can see we have a lot of parts here. We don't want all these parts. This is one part, so to put those together, we're going to use Boolean, and Boolean will pick our. We're going to use union. We want these two to go together, and click that, and notice it joined them. If we hide that sketch 1, we can see a little better. And we'll Boolean these once we mirror that across the YZ plane. No need to do another Boolean now. So let's mirror that one. So we're going to mirror again, mirror, and we're going to mirror all these pieces. And we're going to mirror it across the YZ plane. You can click on it anywhere. Oh, mirror plane. Okay. And there we go. So we're going to finish that up. And then we need to do one more Boolean. And that will bring together the center of these pieces here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And bring them all together. So now we should just have one part for each straw and the X. Now, if you want to add more bracing, you can continue and do the same thing. So we could, let's just add, we can add a straight brace. You'll need this kind of brace for the front and back to let the car go through. So we can unhide this. We can go back to Node Creator. We can add another vertex down here. And we can adjust that vertex to have a straw hole. Oh, it's not showing up yet. Hide that straw hole. Node diameter is outer diameter, and straw member locations. Yeah, showed up. So that would be the first part of that. Now we can add the second one up here with a new vertex. Okay, same thing. Hide the hole. Make the node diameter our straw. STRAW. I did outer, yeah, outer diameter, and straw member locations here. Notice it's using the same settings for all the other ones. So we've got that. That is so you've got to draw your straw. We'll do that. We cannot add it to the existing frame because you can only do one straw per frame. So we got to make a new frame. Here's a new frame. Select that straw profile that we used before and select our points. Okay, got another straw. Okay, so we could go back and add this to this earlier Boolean. We'd have to bring these parts up, or we can just Boolean again. Let's just Boolean again. And that we want to bring this piece and this piece together. We can split again. If you do these earlier, you can do them all at once. So there we go. That brought them together. You can split again. You'll get the idea here. You can split off a little bump. Split that. Split with this face. Keep only one side and flip it. Now that piece is on there. Now we had to do Node Creator again up here. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Once we join this together, we'll have to. We can't mirror it, so we don't want to Boolean it yet. So let's just remove these two. We want to mirror it first. So we want to mirror it, and we want to pick our parts, entities to mirror, and we'll pick our plane. It's this one. There we go. And now we can do our Booleans. Sorry, Boolean together. So let's see. I don't know how smart this one. Maybe we can do all these together on that side. Yeah. And we'll do the Boolean again. Sorry about that. This one, and this one. And then you can do the splits again. Do the splits. This one we want to remove, split this one. We want to split with this face. Again, you could have done all this at the end. When you draw your next one, you could be a little more efficient. Keep both sides, flip it, and lop them off. Same thing up here. You do have to do a different split. You get in the idea. Split. Split this part. Split with this face right here. Don't keep both sides. Lop the other side off. Lovely. Okay, now you have bracing going both ways. Notice you had to mirror it before that. Okay, we are almost done. We are ready to do the part we insert into the assembly is called a composite part. In order to get that, we need to do a cut list, which cut list looks like this. Cut list. So we select all frames. Now we want to separate this into straws and braces, what I call straws and braces. So we're going to click on column is name, that's the part type, and the value. We're going to do straws first. Let's get all the straws in one section. So we have to pick all the frames. Well, we have 1 straw, 2 straws, 3 straws, 4 straws, 5 straws. And now we add another column. Don't do same as previous. We want to add the column name, and the value is, I call them braces, and we want to pick them all. So we want this brace, the center brace, and this brace. There's only 3 braces. And we finish that out. Now if we scroll down our parts list, we should have a composite part. Composite part should be everything. So the composite part should get a name because it's going to show up in the assembly. Top brace number 1, that's matching our Part Studio name. Now there's something I did forget to do, and that was for compression, I definitely want reinforcements. I forgot to put a reinforcement inside of this straw, which is right here. So what I probably want to do is just roll back a little bit before I mirrored, even before I put the straw on. And I can do a couple different ways, but really I just need to extrude from one end of one of these all the way down to, up to face. Pick this face and then merge with, I'm going to add to, probably add to that one. So you can pull that up and merge with this one, and that joins them together. So that gives me better reinforcement. Now I believe when I continue back down, it should add that to my mirror. Let's just start, everything should be updated. Yes, if we click on our composite part, everything should go away and our reinforcements in there. Okay, last thing for putting this in the Part Studio, we do need a mate connector. There's a reason for that, and it has to do with the clearance for putting this together. The fit, I've added a little bit of space around the tabs here, so we need to get it centered in the notch. So if we go back to our original sketch, we can see that original mate connector we used is the bright one over here, and we used the lower left. So that's where we want to put a mate connector to put it back in the Part Studio. We have to add one. So what we'll do is we'll go down, make sure you're rolled all the way back, and add a mate connector. Mate connector. Okay, where is it going to go? It's going to go right on top of the other one, actually, and it's a little hard to get it in there, but let's try. We might have to hide some things. Yeah, we need to hide, probably need to hide this part right here. So let's just hide all the parts. Okay, I want to get it on top of there. It looks like I just about had it, but yeah, okay, you see it right? If you hold down Shift when you're on top of this face, not this one, but this one. Hold down shift. Now you notice you're picking up all the corners. You want that middle one. While you're holding shift, click right there. Click right there. I think we got it. Did we get it? No. There we go. Once you have it in the middle, there you go. Face of sketch 1. Now, select owner entity. You don't want the surface of sketch 1. You want to bring your parts back and pick this part 8 for me. That's where you want it, because that's the reference point it's going to use when it goes into the assembly. Check the box. So it should have a make connector right there. Okay. And now we want to insert and go into assembly. What do you want to put in the assembly? Always, 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 you want to put the composite part into the assembly. It has a make connector for where you're going to put it. Check the box. Okay, now it's free, but it has a make connector, and so does the notch. So all we have to do is fasten that from the make connector. Make sure you're getting a make connector 1 of top chord, 2 make connector of top composite. Check the box. It should look like that. Now if you look in close, you'll notice the reason you're using that make connector, I've given you a little bit of space to make this fit a little bit better. The way you can adjust that space is you go to your variable studio, and here it is, notch fit clearance. It's 1/10 of a millimeter. If you want to make that smaller, we probably have to get rid of that when we model. You'll type it down here, node notch fit and length. If you make it 0, you notice what will happen. If we go back to our let's see, show our context. Okay. Now, it hasn't updated yet, so the way you update it is you click on the dot, choose Update Context, and notice that it has been updated and it fits tight. If we go back to our assembly, we'll see the same thing. Oh, yeah, same thing. Should be centered in there, and yeah, looks like it is. No more gap. That's an important thing we've added. It'll make it easier to put together. You can play with that number. You can laser cut a few nodes. You can make it bigger, 0.2 millimeters. You go back to your assembly. I'll do it from the assembly now. The way you know that there's something changed is there's a blue dot. You can right click, update context, and that'll update everything. And there we've got a bigger gap. I wouldn't leave it. That seems a little bit loose, but you can keep playing with that. Variable studio. Put that back to 0.1 and go back to your assemblies. Full bridge. It's updating now, and we've got a little bit less gap there. Again, blue dot, want to right click, update context. That's going to update that part studio. You can go to that part studio and you can look to make sure everything is up to date. Sometimes you can just run it from here and it'll update. It says context updated, so everything should now be as it is. That's a step you'll have to do. Sometimes you'll see the blue dot. All right, that should end our bracing.